Hi, Seth.
Hi there. There you go. Have a good meeting.
Thank you. Here comes Carrie. All right. All right. Well, welcome everyone. It is 6:30 p.m. On June 25th, 2024, and this is the Scituate Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee meeting. On March 29th, 2023, Governor Healy signed into law a supplemental budget bill, which, among other things, extended the temporary provisions pertaining to the open meeting law through March 31st of 2025. Specifically, this further extension allows public bodies to continue holding meetings remotely without a quorum of the public body physically present at a meeting location, and to provide adequate alternative access to remote meetings. This meeting will be recorded by Scituate Community Television and can be viewed live on Scituate Community Television Facebook Live. The recorded meeting will be available the following day on Comcast Channel 9 and YouTube Scituate Community Television. I will read our committee's commitment statement. This is a secure space for all people, especially people of color, and for all underrepresented people and communities. This is a space where people can bring up challenges and questions without fear. We will assume best intentions, and we will treat one another with politeness and respect at all times. This committee is dedicated to these standards. We want our members and others joining our meetings to feel welcomed and respected. All right, thank you. I would like to call the meeting to order. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All right, I'll call the roll. Ms. Risha.
Yes.
Reverend Stewart.
Yes.
Ms. Gilberti.
Yes.
Ms. Dre.
Yes.
Ms. Sun.
Yes.
Ms. Gulata and the baby.
Always. Yes.
And I am a yes. Okay, great. Great showing. Thank you. All right, let's just go over the minutes. I know there were a couple versions sent out. Thank you, Elena, for putting those together. I do think I am on the hook. Let's just get that out of the way now for this meeting. That's fine. And then we're gonna go straight to Natasha. But you have a month reprieve. All right. I went through them. I don't have any comments personally. I know Celia, you caught a few things, but that was reflected in the subsequent copy. Does anyone else have any comments? All right, great. All right, so then I will move to accept the minutes from our last meeting, which was Wednesday, May 28th, 2024. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Christina. All right, calling the roll. Ms. Risha.
Yes.
Reverend Stewart.
Yes.
Ms. Gilberti.
Yes.
Ms. Dre.
Yes.
Ms. Sun.
Yes.
Ms. Gulata.
Yes.
And I am a yes. So excellent. Thank you. All right. So I guess, Jamie, for you, I mean, obviously feel free to ask questions throughout. I'm sure you've gone and looked at every video that we've ever done, read all the minutes and all that stuff. So I'm sure you're completely up to speed. I'm not being sarcastic at all. So usually what we do is we go through at this point, we would talk about, anything going on in the town, which, Maura Healy was our liaison, really kind of from the beginning. Bob Clark always jumps in and, with his thoughts on some of the things that are going on. And then we kick it over to Jamil Adams, who is our Scituate Public Schools Director of DEI. And Jamil always spices things up for us, which is fantastic, right? And then, any other business. And then we talk about some of the things that we have in flight and all that jazz. So, so first of all, Jamie, welcome. We appreciate you jumping in on this. We do try to meet every month. On occasion, we skip a month, but that's kind of rare. And that's usually because either we don't have a quorum or something else that's going on. So I don't know, if you'd like to introduce yourself, that would be great. And
Sure.
I know you've only been on the job for what, a month, 2 months?
Just
But I
about
know,
a month, just about a month, yeah.
I think you have a long history of being involved in Scituate. I'll just
Well,
call it stuff, but
yeah. I've been involved, I've lived in Scituate since 1981. I bought my house in 1985. I don't think I'm going anywhere. My background is that of construction. I ran one of the largest union flooring companies in Massachusetts for a number of years. Semi-retired now. Have been involved with town boards and government since about 2005. Capital planning, advisory for quite a while, and now this venture. You'll find that my interest in your committee is to help you in any way I possibly can. As the liaison to the select board, I'd like to be able to report to them every time we meet on Tuesday nights, what you guys are doing and what you need help with. This is a very important group, and I just read your notes from that you voted on tonight, and I was quite impressed with all the challenges you have. So I'm here for you. I'm going to do a lot of listening. I may on occasion ask a stupid question, so forgive me up front for that. And you may in the background hear 2 barking little French bulldogs because it's bunny season in the backyard.
It's bunny season every day.
Yeah.
In
So
my
forgive
backyard.
that. Yeah, forgive that. And as soon as I start to, I'll mute. But I'm going to do a lot of listening, and I'm here to help you. That's basically, a liaison is not to get involved with your deliberations. It's basically to give input back to the board and bring anything that you need to the board to be done. And that's
Appreciate
really
it.
where I'm at.
No, that's great. Thank you, Jamie.
My pleasure.
Yeah, we have dogs and we have cats, but mostly we have children under the age of 3 that
There you
interrupt
go.
our meetings. So
That's
it's fun.
okay.
So anyways, all right. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, so let's just get rolling. Jamil, you wanna kick us off, and I'll let you share what you and I texted about earlier, if that's okay.
No problem. Should I just do the report as well, or?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
All right, cool. Jamie, welcome to the team. Welcome to the fam. Good people in the mix here, all doing great things and making progress. Welcome in. I remember being you 3 years ago. So a couple things since last we met on Wednesday last week. We had our 3rd annual Juneteenth recognition event, and it was pretty powerful. Although we could not get Ms. Dre to do the step routine thing, it was awesome. But it was great to have that happen. Even with some things making it complex for folks to come through, we still had a really good showing of folks coming. I mean, like the heat, and then the end of the year, folks being, is this the end of the year? Is it not the end of the year? You know how we just kind of shifted with the days and stuff. So that it worked, that people still came out, and that's just a testament to the community and the love and how people have grown to connect to this event and this recognition event and what we do. So that was great. Let's see. The other thing is that this committee may prove instrumental in the upcoming months and years regarding METCO. We have a renewed, I would say, renewed and very ignited interest in the district being a METCO district, having a refined presence. So, in how we signal our pride in being a METCO district, again, not saying we have Metco students because we are Metco district, we're all Metco kind of thing. In fact, there's an acronym for Metco, meaning it's a movement everyone takes care of. METCO, movement everyone takes care of, kind of thing. And so there may be some folks on here that can help out with some of the things that we're doing. I mean, our goal is to be the most premier Metco district that there is in the state of Massachusetts. We've been a Metco district for 54 years. We should be in a renowned place with it. And so our goal is to hold ourselves accountable going towards that. And Markavius being the new director and visionary for Metco, our district, in regards to Metco, is great. He is very much tuned in and locked into how we do that. For example, one of the things that will happen is we're going to have an orientation take place for our Boston students coming into our Scituate community. And some of that may involve folks on the screen. Again, I don't know, maybe they come to Reverend Stewart's church, maybe they come out to some of the neighborhoods and stuff like that just to see what's going on around and things like that. And at the same time, we need to have another side where folks who are already present can go through an orientation of sorts as well. So that's just one of the ways that folks can get in the mix with it. Proudly, we can share that currently at this point, there are 97 families that have signed on to be members of the anchors. Like these are families that say we want to be connected. We want to be an anchor for Boston students. And so that's just who are signed up. But I know that there's definitely probably another at least 40 or 50 that aren't signed up because they maybe just didn't know they could sign up or something like that. So the community support is absolutely there and present. And some of you on the screen are actually some of those folks that may not have been signed up and said, look, I want to help out, I want to be a part of it, or you are signed up. So those are some things I wanted to share, folks.
Can you describe what that means to be an anchor family?
So with that, once upon a time, it was called Friends of Metco kind of thing. And these were folks that they would open up their homes. They would, if a student from Boston was staying late, they may make sure that they're okay. If they had to, for example, prom happened not too long ago, folks might have said, you know what, you could bring your prom stuff here, I don't know, 2 or 3 days earlier, and then instead of going back to Boston and coming back and this, then the third, you could just come here and hang. I mean, usually there's a friend that's at the school or something like that builds that connection point. So that's what it is. You are electing and opening yourself to be a resource, a personal resource for students from Boston. You're also saying that you want to be a part of making it less of a visitor situation, making it more as inclusive as possible, recognizing the travel and some of the challenges and needs of our students coming from Boston. So choosing to be an anchor that's what it involves. There'll be some more meetings and things like that to that effect. But even if you aren't actually an anchor, again, there's some people who just are. Markavius came with a term to call them champions of Metco, where they just kind of look out for folks. For example, Officer O'Shea, I think it was, so not last year, it was last month. Or it was the top of this month. One of the students from Boston, there's a thing that they do at the elementary schools where there's a collage of photos of the student for their 5 years in the elementary school. And one of the students wasn't able to get one of those done. So the officer actually collected photos of this student and just created the poster for them on their behalf, so that it was able to be presented along with the others. And so folks doing things like that. Is that officer signed up? No, but absolutely is locked into helping out, but just making it so that things we do for students who are from Scituate, that they do the same thing for students from Boston. We're just trying to make it more that same energy for everyone. That's all. That's the equity piece of it. Helpful a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I know a lot of families have done, that type of thing. I mean, we did with this one family for years, but I didn't know there was like an official thing that you can sign up for. We just did it because my friends were friends with kids from Boston.
And that's beautiful. We need it to be that way. I mean, it could be
Yeah,
a you know what I mean? So absolutely.
Jamil, would you mind sending information around that? Because I'm wondering, for example, like if we sign up, like, do we have to have like a query on the record with the school or anything like that?
It's a little different because you're not an employee or work. I get why you're asking that question, but
Yeah.
a little different. But I absolutely, when I'll connect with Marcavius, get the info, and I'll share it with folks on that because it's being a little fine tuned. Because Ann Galvin, folks know Ann.
Anne Marie,
I mean, Ann is a doer and is definitely a
AMG. Yeah, of course.
yeah, AMG, absolutely. And so she's all in on taking it to the next level regarding the Anchors program. She also wants to help out. And as we have also reintroduced, this is not community, but it's kind of connected. We have reactivated our status as a posse school. Posse is folks are unfamiliar with it. It's a opportunity where typically folks with lower income status and things like that have an opportunity to interview for, I mean, it's a pretty rigorous interview process. And at the end of it, you get an opportunity to go to any number of colleges for a full ride, but with the caveat that you take on leadership roles within that community. So we have reactivated our status in that regard and have a student who's actually going through the process now. So those are two things. The next thing that I'll share with folks is I have very limited information, but I shared it with Tom this morning, asking if we could add this to the agenda for tonight. Some folks have been in the loop with this already and may have more information than I have. But last night, somewhere around 10, I happened to check out my phone and I got a text message that was detailing that a young person had been on, as now I hear folks use OOB, but Old Oaken Bucket Road, and someone drove by, some group who knows drove by and had yelled the N-word at the person and spat at them. So I received the information and then encouraged the family already has been encouraged to, I don't know who the family is, and the person, and Nikki is the person that texted me, Nikki Sanders. And so the name wasn't given to me, so I don't know who the family is, but I encourage that the family notify the police, that we make sure that the child is feeling the love and support of the community, that the family is feeling the love and support of the community, that we make sure that the Freedom Team is aware, that the chief is aware, the town is aware, as I mentioned, this organization being aware, and then we have to make sure that nothing happens without the family's green light and approval for it, because we don't want to take away the power of the family, nor cause more harm by just jumping into action kind of thing. I said we also have a couple of the Scituate is the love that hate can't stop signs that Reverend Stewart's church paid for. We got some of those, and we have some of the magnets that we got as well. So at this point, where we are in this regard is that you all aware, the Freedom Team is aware, Jim B is aware from the town, the chief is aware, and Nikki, I believe, is reaching out to the family to say all these things, all these resources are at the disposal and activated and sort of in a holding position, waiting to hear a green light or go ahead for yourself. And I reminded Nikki that when the thing happened with me with Museum Beach, I said every move of that, people checked in with me to make sure I was all right with that. I mean, it's important that happens. And so that was this morning around 7:45, all of this had taken place. Whenever I sent you the text message,
pretty early.
That was the last thing because I was stuck in traffic at that time. that was the last thing. So what that represents in many ways that our systems we have in place, this organization, the Freedom Team, and people are ready. It wasn't a scramble. Who do we tell? What do we do? What's going to happen? It was about notifying certain people, and then that happened. And when I was going to notify the Freedom Team, Dina had sent out the email and to the team, to the Freedom Team, saying, "Hey, I got this. Third party. Here's what we know so far." That this is where we are with this. I mean, it's ugly, it's horrific. I don't know what the family would like to do. I'm hoping to hear from Nikki at some point today or tomorrow. We'll keep folks in the mix. I think Ann Lattonville had put something on the Stride, not Facebook page, but something that Stride has. I think Ann Lattonville put something there and was saying that folks are asking if a statement could be made. I'm not on Facebook. I don't know what's up, but this was part of the messaging that Dina has sent to the Freedom Team. That's how I know that that was there. And Nikki told me she had told Ann Lattonville. So that's it. It's hard to put a statement together and things like that when you don't have, more information. And again, you don't know how the family is feeling about things. So, but a couple of things that immediately come to mind, definitely some statements, but most important is letting that family know that there's love and that people are connected with them. If anyone knows people in their community, it'd be helpful to contact some of the neighbors and like, hey, how you doing? Did you know about this? And we want to show love to the community, from the community to this family and seeing what's up. And we have 2 signs left. Put those signs in the area because we don't. I mean, at the end of the day, we don't know who it was, kind of deal. If they were just because it's summertime, people come visit in Scituate in the summertime. We don't know if it's someone visiting or if someone from in the community. Regardless, we show love. If the family does not want anything, then it's an opportunity to still mark that something was alleged, and then it's an opportunity to send a statement that reminds folks to be on the lookout and take care of each other and to remain vigilant against hate as a community. Those are just some initial thoughts. I don't know if folks on the page on this Zoom right now have more information than that or have questions or something like that. But thanks for adding it to the agenda, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly don't have any more information. I'm not on Facebook much, or Instagram, frankly. I did take a peek today at like where would people post something like this, right? Scituate Monthly, which is like a cesspool of God knows what. So I try to avoid it, but I didn't see anything there. I think back to, obviously, I hate to bring it up, Jamil, but the situation on Museum Beach with you.
Yeah.
And, everybody galvanized when that happened, right? And in Scituate Stride, for example, and I hate to put a lot of pressure on them, but when these things happen, Scituate Stride is historically, last handful of years, they've really stepped up because they're able to just go, right? They're able to just go and make a statement, as opposed to this group, which sometimes we get bogged down by open meeting law rules, all that type of stuff, right? But I mean, it's not to say that we're not a resource. We are. We need to know. We have contacts, all that type of stuff. But yeah, it's whatever we can do. I mean, within our purview, we'll certainly do it. I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts, but
yeah, I just want to, to what Jamil said, the important thing is support when these things happen. And speaking from someone who grew up in Scituate over 55 years, here, we didn't have this back in the old days. So I'm very proud to still be in Scituate and to see all the, the support and the organizations like Stride, like the DI committee, like Jamil and what he does for the public school, because you can't stop hate. You can just make them know that they're not welcome. And the majority of the people here are not hateful, and love does win. So I think the important thing is just having that support, and letting our children know, you can't protect them from bad people, from mean people, from, racist people. But you want to surround yourself with people that do care about them, that do give them love and support. So I'm proud of, the organizations like Stride and, this group and many, many great people that live in Scituate that would be there for families and children, especially when they're going through something like that. So that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The only thing I want to add on top of that, and your sentiments, Angela, reminded me of this, is that when I, along with a whole bunch of things that I shared with Nikki, I added, you know, if you want, you can give the family my number, and I can speak to them directly, or if you want to give me theirs, I can do that too, because, you know, sometimes people want to but don't want to, kind of thing. So just kind of make it as easy as possible for folks to receive that, because I would just simply be a representation of us all, not just me, kind of thing. So yeah. So that was
All right.
that. If I give, I'll make sure folks find out.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. We do
And-
need to know, as ugly as it is.
I also want to say how the Juneteenth celebration was awesome. And I will learn the step dance next year. Okay. Watch, you know, this is year 3. So next year you'll watch me. I'll be stepping with the team.
All right, we're gonna look forward to that. Oh, you know what? We also had the Pride open mic that happened since the last meeting too. The Pride open mic was another dope thing that we did. That was all right. So I wanted to share that too. This is all. I thought it was 3rd, but Dina keeps saying it's 4. So, but that was good. It was powerful.
Actually, Natasha, you want to talk about your event?
Yeah, I was gonna say, can I shamelessly plug our Pride event?
Yes.
So on Saturday, 9:30 to 11:30 at St. Luke's Church, we are having a family-friendly Pride breakfast. We have some speakers from around the community who are coming. Breakfast is free, everything's free. The bounce house will be up. We'll be letting kids do coloring and make buttons out of it. So it'll be a good time. So we just want to encourage as many people as possible to come and just kind of enjoy some time together and a little celebration. And I think the speakers, I don't know them personally, but I think they're going to be great. So, and we have some high school students coming to speak as well. So I'm very excited about that. So bring your kids, let them bounce out all their energy on the bounce house. And we'll have a good time.
Excellent. Thank you.
All
All right.
Comment about
Yeah, go ahead,
Metco
Celia.
just reminded me, since it's summer. Remember we had talked to Connor on the beach commission, and then we had stickers approved for Metco family students. I'm just wondering how if the town is tracking utilization. Do the students know about it? Like, I'm just curious.
So,
Great question.
it is a great question, but I absolutely think it's a great thing. I don't know that many folks have taken advantage of that. But in addition to what I shared about our reimagined focus as a Metco district, that also includes how we communicate with the families in Boston as well, and just really doing more to pull folks in and take advantage of something like the actual opportunity to get the stickers in the parking. But I know that not many have, and maybe one, but not many, because it's a great thing that it happened and that folks went to make it happen. And the thing is, I know that folks on the screen and Connor actually, you know, had put some elbow grease into it to make it possible. You know what I mean? So we don't want to lose that. But again, it'll materialize.
Yeah, I mean it's a huge thing, right? I mean they're hard to get. I mean, how
Absolutely.
quickly do the out of town ones go every year? They go within like 10 minutes, don't they? I mean, it's yeah. So probably sell them on the secondary market for a pretty penny, but I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying. I'm always looking to make a quick buck. So no, thanks for bringing that up. All right, Bob, let's swing it over to you. Anything from the town that you want to convey? I mean, we'll get into some of the things we've been sending around over the last week or so in a minute, but anything you want to cover kind of top down?
I mean, Nothing, Tom, that necessarily comes to mind immediately, so.
All right, so
Hmm.
do we want to jump in and talk a little bit about, I mean, just today we were talking about and Bob, you had a good suggestion, and I'll actually bring this up on the screen. Let me grab my computer here. So, okay. There we are. So, we've talked in the past about, just put this under equitable communications, which I think the bucket where we've talked about this type of thing. And, for whatever the last month or so, between the 911 system outage, the heat emergency, the water treatment plant, so there's been some pretty important communications, right, from the town. I mean, again, really good communications. Certainly, I like getting all this stuff. It's super informative and whatnot, but it does bring you back to, okay, you see something like this that's on the screen, and read more. Hopefully you guys can follow this. Brings you straight to the website. There it is. And you can translate it, right? So, which is something that we famously put in the middle of one of our meetings, a year or two ago, whenever that was. So the question then becomes, just go back to this. What can we do around putting a disclaimer in the body of the email, something short and sweet, so that people know to go over to to click through and take advantage of the Google Translate.
Could we have them just add a simple line of click here for Google Translate, and then it would take them over to that? Because if the point is that they're going to have a hard time reading it not in English, you don't want to put a bunch of English in there for them to read to know where to find it. So maybe just a Google Translate button that brings them to where they need to be would be the simplest thing.
I agree. Keep it simple. I mean, I'm open to whatever. I mean, this is it's just.
So, but I mean, this is an email that a subscriber would have received, or not this, but what you had shown earlier, Tom?
Yeah, you guys can all see this.
Will be an email like this. And so I'm not sure that we could have a link from the email. I mean, so this email provides a link to the Town of Scituate website. One thought that I had was if we could come up with some verbiage that basically says something very simple, that if you need translation of this particular page, click on the read more tab or link, and then it gives instructions on how to access Google Translate right from the email. And it's something that could be embedded into our email system, I believe, so that every time an email goes out, I talked to Michelle Segasi today, who sends these out. She sent this one out, for instance. And what she explained to me is that all this verbiage down here on the bottom, where it says read more down to, this is an automatic message from Scituate, Mass. That is all part of the template. So we wondered whether or not we could actually add something to the template that basically has instructions on how to access Google Translate in 3 or 4 languages. Maybe just like one sentence, something simple so it's not overly cumbersome. But it's when someone receives this email, they would want to, it's at this point that we want to inform them that there's a translation service available.
But if they click the read more link that's there, it takes them to the town page that has the Google Translate. So you could almost just have 2 links that are exactly the same, the read more and Google Translate here, that would both take them to this page without a lot of wording. And both the links would end you here at the same place to get your Google Translate.
So the issue is how hidden it is. Unless you like are looking for that button on the website, you're not going to see it. But I think it's more than just saying click here to translate this. This is an important health notice. Please read the translation online. This is an important public safety notice. Read, because otherwise I'm like, I'm not reading this. Like, this is just another email. Like, if this is public safety, public health, then read here to learn more, whatever. Like, translation is available. So I think it's those two very short lines.
But I wonder if it's as simple to kind of maybe building off Bob's point, adding something to the template. So it's just on all, because Celia, I worry that if we try to differentiate between public health, safety, et cetera, then we're relying on human error too much to like include this only if the email is about public safety, include this only if it's a health notice. Like if it's just added to the template, then it gets added to every alert that goes out to anyone that's signed up for Scituate alerts. And I also don't know, like, yes, it's at the bottom of the page, but I'm thinking that people are like, if you go to most websites, the Google Translate button is at the bottom of the page. Like, it's usually not front and center. So I wonder if also behaviorally, like people are kind of used to looking there for this because they're the ones that are using it most. I mean, I don't know. I can't put myself in in their shoes and make assumptions, but I do love the idea of putting it in the template because I feel like then that'll just get added to everything.
So, and when Michelle and I were talking about this today, she had a good point that, yeah, healthcare providers often have to deal with this issue. I mean, they're constantly sending emails out, and she was looking up her own emails that she's received from her healthcare provider to see if there was any translation service made available. And in the top of the email, there was a little globe. And when she clicked on that globe, it brought her to the translation service. Now, she just noticed that her particular healthcare provider used that icon. I'm wondering actually if it's a more common icon than we may be thinking. So it's another thought. It may be something it's, belt and suspenders. Maybe we can do something like that as well if this website, Civic Plus, allows us to do it. But, if that's a common icon, it's we could add that in addition to having Google Translate on the bottom. And then the icon would just bring them down to that Google Translate function, if it's able to do that.
I think that's totally fine. But I also think like so this is for email, right? Like there's also snail mail that goes out because not everybody in town reads email, is on social media, or is subscribed. So I think that we also need a line on that. But the line on snail mail, I think, needs to be different. It can't just say go to the website. Like clearly, if you're getting and opting into snail mail as your preference, you're not going to go to the town website, even if it's an additional line that says, this is important, please get it translated, or like go online. But I just think there's a bit of a difference between the different types of communication.
Oh, I think there absolutely is. Yeah. I mean, like, this is almost like low-hanging. I'm going to use a consulting term. I'm sorry. This is like low-hanging, right? The town emails, because we already have the Google Translate. I think we can probably implement something pretty simply with some of the suggestions that people have already brought up tonight, as it pertains to, hard copy snail mail. That's a whole other,
Can I
can of worms.
Can I ask a question to the group? Like, do we have any ways that we can take some type of a poll for folks in town that are like non-English speakers of like how, like to Bob's point, like maybe there is a more standardized way, like the way that, healthcare providers send out their emails, or like actually talk to folks in town that don't speak English to kind of find out like, hey, what's the best way for you to know that this is something that needs to get translated? I don't know if we have any means to do something like that.
I actually have asked a few people, and the internet isn't commonly used because I think in Scituate, you're also talking non-English speaking elderly.
Yeah.
So they're getting paper. So I was just thinking as I'm, thinking out loud here. On the paper, is there a phone number? Because I know a lot of people still call and get customer service, and customer service department sometimes have people that are bilingual that can assist them. So does Scituate, basically with the notifications, I think is the direction is, here's an email, snail mail, and then you can go to the website for more information. I don't think we direct anyone to call, right?
I'm wondering how often the town is sending out important notices through snail mail. I guess here's one.
I've
Sure.
only ever received tax bills and the water notices in the mail, but I don't know if there's like, are there options for more if you sign up for them? I've never heard of them.
You guys can see my screen,
Okay.
Right.
So there
the
is,
water notice.
yeah, because I know
There's a number.
residents would call the town, and if they ask questions and, they're comfortable, going in person or asking if they're not. So there is a phone number there. Okay.
We had talked previously about just even a standard form developed by the town that could be inserted with these, with these mailings. That, that directs them to the, it may be more difficult to do it specific, for every specific mailing that goes out, but is there a general insert that we could create that's in various languages that directs them to wherever we may, whether it's a phone number like Angela said, or back to the website, which would have the translation service. I assume that like even this mailing here is ultimately going to be posted as well on the town website. I'm not sure, to be honest, but I believe it was.
I mean, once they're on the website, it's wonderful because it will remain in that language that they choose, so it's just getting them there, getting them comfortable and having the link and any information. I mean, when you change the language, you go into government, any of those other, tabs, you're getting that information in the language that you spoke, that you selected. So I think promoting that is definitely worth.
I mean, it's a bit of a catch-22 because we're talking about putting notifying people about translation services in emails that they would have subscribed to. I guess my question would be how many people who don't have English as a primary language are subscribing to the emails in the first place, right? So
That's true, but I mean,
non-English speaking are we reaching then if that's the case,
well, it could spur word of mouth,
right?
right? That we're doing this. Go ahead, Jamil.
So what's happening here is you're creating culture, you're creating habit, and so what will eventually happen is that folks will come to expect that there has to be a translation option that's available to whatever it is, whether it's an emergency message or otherwise. You want people to feel like there's an option I have that I can tap into to do this. So you have almost a slow rollout, but you put it, you begin to add it onto all the correspondence from this committee. Then you also, if there's any social media presence, you let folks know that. If you want to use the local newspaper, let folks know. Please spread the word that we have these options available to folks, so folks can begin to talk about it and know that it's there, kind of thing. The other thing I wanted to ask is, has anyone here done it? Have you got the message and did the Google Translate to see how it works or not? And was that pretty helpful? Did it go smoothly or?
Yeah, it works really well.
I think
Okay,
it works really well.
that's good to know. Okay, fantastic. So the other thing, again, you just start. It's one of those things you just start and you continue to just add on to it. You don't quit on it. You got to keep it going, and then it'll last. It'll stick. You just got to begin though. That's it.
Totally agree.
Yeah, +1. I was just gonna say what Jamil just said so beautifully. It's like it's less about our people. Well, we hope people are using it if they're getting the emails, but it's more so the optics and the culture of like, oh, look at Scituate like doing this. I think it's worth the $100 that we're gonna pay to have like 20 words translated. because of what it means. But then I also think like we've been talking about this for so long, so sorry if I seem a little snippy. I just feel like we need a plan. And I think we need to put a recommendation in place, like number 1, number 2, number 3, and this is what all 3 costs. Number 1 is lowest hanging fruit. Put that 1-line translation we're going to provide to Michelle in every email tomorrow. Number 2, if we want to print the stickers for the mailings that go out from the water division, how much is that going to cost? And then do we need to make that recommendation to the select board? Yes, Lila agrees. So I just feel like we need to make that like business case and just get it to the select board. I'm sorry, we've been talking about this for a year and I'm like, but if I can end with a positive thing, I got that emergency 911 alert on like every phone, email, whatever. And Scituate was the only one that actually provided an alternative phone number. Everyone else was like, oh, contact your local, whatever. I'm like, but what's the number? And the Scituate email was the only one that gave an actual phone number to call instead of 911. So kudos to Scituate.
All right, so in the interest of not getting yelled at by Celia next month, can we come up with the blurb like right now for the email? Yes, we can. What is it? Because I didn't suggest anything. There were a couple of suggestions.
I had proposed something in that email. Again, I'm open to any. I just wanted to put something out there so that we could work from it.
Yeah, it's what you have, Bob. To translate this message, please, click whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to any edits to that. I was trying to keep it simple. It could even be simpler than that, I think. I
How
agree.
about just to translate this message, comma, please follow the link above and utilize Google Translate. Utilize the Google Translate drop-down list at the bottom of the screen. That's it.
Right. So we would do that in multiple languages.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
no, it would be in English.
Well, then how is that
No.
effective then, right? Because
Well, then, okay.
Yeah, but you can't
the
enter
idea
the
is
So now
that,
we have to pick and choose.
right, so we would choose like, that's why I had the list of languages too,
Yeah,
because
okay.
I think,
What
I think if we did French, Spanish, and Portuguese, we would, I'm
Okay.
looking at these numbers here, I think we would meet a lot
So
of,
3 lines, basically?
yeah.
Okay.
And that's why I actually had, Spanish, because it would be in Spanish, and so the Spanish reader would know to would say, click on Spanish. The Portuguese reader would know to click on Portuguese.
Yeah, I'm with Bob on that one. That makes the most sense to me.
All right.
So if we pick the top 3, that's Cape Verdean Creole, Portuguese, and Spanish.
Yeah, Cape Verdean Creole is a spoken language. The written language is Portuguese, so Portuguese would take care of the Cape Verdean Creole.
Yeah.
Great.
All right. So Portuguese, Spanish. I think
And
we said
French, I think.
French, even though, yeah. Okay. And Bob, you think that's something that Michelle can put into motion?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the other idea is, maybe we test it out on 1 or 2 emails, even if it's yeah, we can talk to her. Maybe we can find the name that makes it makes sense to do it. And I'll notify everyone so they can kind of take a look and see if it makes sense, see if it works. But I agree with Celia. I mean, I think it's relatively easy to pull this off. I obviously want to just talk to the town administrator, make sure he's good with that. But I don't think this is particularly heavy lifting.
Okay, awesome. And Celia, the snail mail, you were talking about a sticker?
Yeah, because when Bob and I and Christina met with Kevin Cafferty at DPW, we asked about the notice from the Water Division, and he let us know that actually it's the Department of Environmental Protection that provides the template, and then the town just plugs in certain numbers. but the town mails it out. And so if it's like folded and sealed, so you just put like a sticker that doesn't add any postage costs, that just says, please have this notice translated, again, in those 3 languages we just identified. And I think, Bob, you or Kevin were gonna check with DEP to see if that would be allowed or something as the next step.
Yeah, I haven't heard from, Kevin was gonna talk to them. I haven't heard from him on that, but ultimately, I mean, I don't see how they could have an issue with us adding an insert to a mailing. And maybe it has similar language. I mean, if whatever mailing we're sending out is also gonna be on the website,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can make something, if it's, particularly if it's if it's only on occasion that they're sending mailings out, I'm not sure why we can't create a document that goes out with those mailings that's specific to that particular mailing, that directs someone to the website in that native language that they can then translate, all we can say, have this translated or follow this link,
Yeah.
So I think so that's something I can work on and report back before the next meeting. I think I do want to get with the water department. I mean, even if we focus on that, because I think that's the one sort of almost like more public health mailing that we see on a more regular basis. I'm not sure we're
Agreed.
seeing it from other departments, but
No, they're
I
pretty
think maybe
rare.
we start with them.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
Let us know, Bob, if you need help.
cool.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Progress. Thank you, Celia, for the push. I'm not kidding.
Sorry.
No, we need it. We need it. All right. Let's see. Carrie, let's update the group. And so I'll start. And I apologize, Carrie. I should have gotten together with you, and we could have put notes together. So I'm just going to kind of read through my notes, and if you want to just add color. So since our last meeting, I don't even know if we had this set yet, but I reached out to Jillian Harvey, who is the DEI director. She is a full-time resource in the town of Arlington. And I found her on LinkedIn, whatever, and found an email address, and she got back to me, which was cool. And so Carrie and I met prior, put together some questions and whatnot. And then we met with her for close to an hour, 45 minutes. I think it was about 2 weeks ago, may have been exactly 2 weeks ago. So she was great, very generous with her time. So I'll just try to get through this quick because I know we're kind of nearing the bottom of the hour. But so she was hired at the end of 2019, and we will send out notes. Maybe I'll just put them in the minutes since I'm doing them anyways. So end of 2019, she was hired. She oversees various commissions. She reports into the town manager. She's actually been able to hire a community outreach and engagement coordinator. They have a full-time ADA coordinator. And very early on, they came up with the idea to run an equity audit for the town. And it was pretty involved. They sent out an RFP to 9 consultancies, and eventually decided on utilizing a firm called Opportunity Consulting out of Washington, D.C. It ended up being a 10-month contract, and she said it was a pretty heavy lift, but she felt like it was absolutely worth it. They also looked into Strategy Matters out of Dorchester that she also thinks is great, but she feels that they're more of a training organization as opposed to running audits. Jill actually put the RFP together herself. She's actually shared that with us. So she sent us a bunch of artifacts and links and all kinds of stuff. Let's see. I believe they got this paid for with a grant. I should have taken better notes on that. Carrie, I don't know.
I think Tom, so my notes, so I believe she had said that when she was first hired, she had put some funds aside for that were labeled for equity and outreach. And so they were able to use those funds to cover this. So I believe it sounded to me that they didn't use a grant, that they had some funds available that they used for it. But yeah, I think, you covered a lot of that really in depth. She had said like support from the town, HR and police was essential. So I think, we have good relationships there. So she said having like a good ally in the school systems is important. So we've got that there too. I mean, she definitely, it's a big undertaking as we've discussed, right? Which is, and, said that she ended up sort of actually out on the streets doing a ton of the outreach. And so thinking about that piece of it, like, how would that be possible, with our group? Like she kind of mentioned, putting together potentially like a working group, that can be like actually working on that. So I think, but like Tom said, she was really great, like a great resource for us, lots of good feedback, and seemed willing to kind of continue to work with us as we explore this.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, she was very open. She's like, reach out anytime. I mean, they focused on the workforce within Arlington. They focused on housing. They focused on voting. They utilize a representative town meeting, which is not what we do here. The approach from the consulting firm was hybrid, so there was a lot of remote, but they actually came to Arlington, I think, multiple times as well. And the town of Reading is also working with that same firm, doing either they already have or they're doing it now. And then she also mentioned Andover and Westwood are two additional towns. They didn't necessarily work with that firm, but they're doing this type of work. She said she would absolutely do it again. She said it was a lot of work. And keep it in mind, she's a full-time employee of the town, right? We don't have anyone, focused exclusively on this type of work outside of this committee. And Jamil, you're with the public schools, and you guys have already done all it. So it's at this stage, it's still, food for thought. We'll put our notes together so people can see it. But and I think she actually sent us. I'd have to look again, but I think some of the artifacts from the engagement are actually accessible right on their town website. If anyone wants to take a look, just the nature of town government and so forth. I think it's all public. So, any questions on that?
Did you talk about a connection to the DEI director for the schools?
Sorry, what was the question?
Did she mention her connection to the DEI director for the schools?
No, we didn't, because not that I recall. Carrie did.
She mentioned that making sure that, so my notes say schools are a good resource. It's great that we have, a DEI director and allies in the school committee, and that she also had that, but we didn't dive into details into like how that how they worked together. But she did sort of say like it's important to have that if you're thinking about doing this in the town.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah.
She's heavily involved in, I think it's called the Mass DEI Coalition. So there's a handful of towns. I could be getting the name of that coalition wrong, but she's heavily involved in that as well. She sent a link to that as well. So I'll send that email to everybody just so that, in case you want to like take a peek through some of the documents and so forth. Certainly feel free. So I'll get that out in the coming days. But she got that stuff like right out to Carrie and I. So really good contact for us in the future, I feel. So that went by quick. We're already at the bottom of the hour. Now that said, Celia, can you give just a quick, I wasn't able to get access to that document. You sent out a note to a few of us about, and it's probably timely because there was a town meeting last night. I continue to be intrigued by how can we increase, town meeting participation, preferably through hybrid remote means.
Yeah.
Is there news on that?
Yeah, so for those that were on the committee back then, I think this was like 2, maybe 3 years ago now, but a few of us were trying to lead an effort to do research around what it would take to make town meeting at least hybrid in terms of participation and voting, so more people could participate and so that it could just be more fair. Because I know I've been here 9 years and I'm very active and I still have not been able to make a town meeting. If you work in hospitality, I don't know how you would make town meeting. So we did some research at the time, met with or exchanged an email with Miss Gardner, the town clerk. And I think there was a little, from everyone we spoke with, resistance just because the state hadn't passed anything yet. And we would have to file a home rule petition. So we talked to a few other towns like Cohasset that had implemented it at the time through home rule, and we met with Seth and others around technology. We know that a lot of folks utilize platforms similar to like auction houses in terms of verification. So then we just let it go. So we didn't do much with that because other things came to the top of our priority list. But then today I was just reading on the latest with the legislature, and I found out that Governor Healy put in her Municipalities Empowerment Act that she filed language around remote town meeting participation. Unfortunately, it was didn't make it out of the committee, so it didn't, I don't think, go anywhere. I'll look into it tomorrow with some coworkers, but it was just interesting that the administration thought about that in the Municipalities Act, because I think that was the holdup for our town, and maybe others would have been like having to do home rule or be one of the first and going through verification and the state. So I can send around that article because I think people need a subscription for it, but you said, Tom.
Yeah.
Do a little more digging on where the administration was.
That'd be great. Yeah, if you can PDF it or whatever, that'd be great. Thank you. And I actually just received an email from Stride on the incident that Jamil was talking about, literally like 2 minutes ago. So I'll forward that around. It's essentially a statement. I can't read the whole thing right now, but I'll send that out as soon as we're done here.
Sorry, one
yeah,
final
go ahead.
thing. Since you were giving your analysis of Arlington and said workforce housing and voting, so I feel like we've done a lot with workforce, thanks to Bob. We just talked about voting. Housing actually came up in Bob's and Christina and Mike and your conversation actually with Kevin at DPW, because we were asking around about, like, for example, they have to hire a ton of people. It's just hard, I think, for any town employee to live here just because of the cost of housing versus your wage, and then their union contracts and the like. So one idea or something Bob and I briefly mentioned, and we haven't followed up about this, Bob, was just not workforce housing, but looking into chatting maybe with the planning or zoning board or whoever around, like, are there like designated units? Like, how do we, I don't know what it is. I think this is way above my pay grade, but we just started that conversation very briefly. So to throw that.
I did have a conversation with the town planner. I think we were looking at trying to recruit people for employment, and we're wondering whether or not we could actually, when we designate certain units to be low income, could we designate them specifically for town employees or prospective employees? And the town planner basically said that she didn't believe that that was an option. She basically said it's really just about percentages of units, and it just needs to be, affordable. And then, as she described it, they're not even particularly affordable, compared to like what I think people may need. But anyways, the thought of being able to designate it specifically for town employees, she said that wouldn't be a possibility. So, unfortunately.
All right. All right, we're at 7:35. In terms of future meetings, in case you go to the town website and so forth, The calendar kind of has a mind of its own. Sometimes it schedules us 4 times in the same night. Do not pay any attention to that. I will look at that. Right now, I think we're on for July 16th, which is just in like 3 weeks from now. And we're running into vacation season and so forth. So I'll get a note out to everybody around our next meeting. I do want to meet in July, and I do think I can make that meeting. I wouldn't be able to make it on either side of that, but anyways. Does anyone else have anything else they'd like to bring up tonight?
Oh, well, Tom, I want to invite everyone to the Sister City Santa Catarina de Fogo's 2nd annual Independence Day celebration, which will be at the Harbor Community Building on July 5th, which is the actual Independence Day for Cape Verde. So we'll be having our 2nd celebration. There'll be delicious Cape Verdean food and music, family friendly. So hopefully you guys can make it, bring your kids. It'll be a fun time. And you'll see the Cape Verdean flags again in the harbor, which was very proud moment for us Cape Verdean Scituates. So just wanted to invite you all to that.
The
Angela,
food is absolutely incredible. I
Yeah.
went last year. It's
I
insane.
want to go. Do you have a flyer, Angela, so that I can
Yes,
put it
I'll
up at the
send-
library?
Yes, I'll
I was
send.
just gonna ask.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's so good. All right, cool. Thank you for bringing that up. All right, so with that, it is 7:37. I would like to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Angela. All right, calling the roll, Ms. Risha,
Yes.
Ms. Sun,
Yes.
Ms. Dre,
Yes.
Ms. Gilberti,
Yes.
Ms. Gulata,
Yes.
Reverend Stewart,
Yes.
and I am a yes. All right, thanks everyone so much. Thanks again, Jamie, Jamil, as always, Bob,
Bye.
Seth. Bye, everybody.